Hi everyone, and welcome to this very special event. I'd like to say a big thank you to Sandy and everyone from the Shiatsu Research Network for all the work they've put in to make this possible. So hi Sandy.
Hi Cliff.
We've got some polls for you to find out a little bit about you, and also just to give you an idea, I've got a few introductory slides just to give you an idea of what we've got in store for you in the next hour. Please say hi on the chat. So yes, Sandy and I met at Kiental last year, and we chatted about the whole idea of doing a presentation and like a fishbowl event. And here we are, it's actually happening. Very excited about this. It's the first time we've ever attempted like a fishbowl event. We've had a really good registration rate. We've had over 400 people register. So if you're watching the recording, hi there. And if you're watching live, please say hi on the chat. And this is what we've got for you. It's going to be a really intense hour. We've got a couple of polls to find out about you. And then Sandy's got a short set of slides just introducing the SRN. And then we've got the presentations from 3 researchers. And then we're going to do the Q&A fishbowl kind of thing with people coming on and asking questions. And then we're going to finish up with a link to the SRN and just review the whole thing. Okay, so let's launch the polls. So first of all, we just wondered whether you knew anything about the Shiatsu Research Network. So I'm going to launch this poll. If I can find it. Here we are. Yes, here we go. So what's your knowledge of the SRN? How would you rate your knowledge? Are you an expert? You know lots about them. You've got good knowledge, some knowledge, little knowledge, or no knowledge at all until today. Okay, look at this, Sandy. You see?
Yes.
Yes. You've got a big new audience right here. Look, over 40% know nothing about the SRN. So that's kind of really made it worthwhile already. Okay, so let's just have the other poll. We just wondered if you'd ever been involved in the Shiatsu research. You might be an actual researcher yourself, or you might have been part of a research, like a participant, maybe questionnaires with your clients and things, or maybe never. So let's find out. Have you ever been involved in any Shiatsu research? And we'll have to see what we get. Are we going to get anyone? Oh, yes. Yes, that's probably from your group. Oh, look at that. It's actually quite a few people have actually been participants. Just get a few more people voting. Yeah, but look, most people haven't been involved in any research. So that's, I think, interesting in itself, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
But you're here.
Yes, exactly. So now they're here. Okay, lovely. So you've got some a little introduction, haven't you? Right, and I'll just put that up for you.
Yeah, do you put it? Okay.
There we are.
Yes. Yeah. First of all, thank you, Cliff, that you're hosting this event. And we are welcome here. Yes, on behalf of the Shiatsu, on behalf of the Shiatsu Research Network, I'm very glad, very pleased to welcome these 3 researchers who are committed to a broader recognition of Shiatsu in research. And these 3 researchers are Natalie Bernardinelli, Lisa Snelling, and Raviv Pelek. And yes, I would like to make a short introduction to the Shiatsu Research Network before I hand over to them. So, because it's so short, I give you here our webpage, because there you can find much more information about us, what we are doing, and you can also find more Shiatsu studies, links to the Shiatsu studies, and you can find self-learning material like documentation templates and how to write a case report to start with research on your own. And there is another thing. I think we really need you. We need more people in the Shiatsu Research Network who are interested in research or involved in research. At the moment, this is mainly participating in our annual meeting. This is the main thing. So get in touch with us on the roundtable. So here in the webpage, you can get in touch and subscribe to the roundtable.
Okay.
That's what I want to say here. And now I would like to go and listen to the researchers.
Great. Okay, and we're going to actually meet all these three people. They're actually waiting just off the stage to come on and present. And we're going to start off with Natalie, I think, can't we? So let's just get her onto the stage, invite her on, and let's just see if I can just get her around here. And I'll get her slides up while we're waiting for her to come on. Cool. Here we go. Here she is.
Everyone.
Hey, hi. Thank you so much.
Hi, Andy. Hi, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me in this first fishbowl of the Shiatsu Research Network. I'm very honored. I hope my English will be at the level of this fishbowl tonight. First of all, I'm here to introduce you the research that is still going on in Orléans right now. It's a FASPA. The name is awful. We didn't manage to find any other name, and it's a study to evaluate the effectiveness of Shiatsu on fatigue in patients with axial spondyloarthritis, and it's a randomized crossover pilot study. And I would like to do some. Make a few words about the context of this research and give you some reminders. This research will reach several objectives. But first of all, we have to do that in the Occidental healthcare. It's based on evidence-based medicine. That means that health practitioners like doctors can't give any treatment or any recommendation of any therapy or techniques that haven't been evaluated before. And they have not the right to do this, at least in France. So that's why it's very important for us for the Shiatsu community in France, in Europe, and all around the world to have this kind of trial to evaluate our technique, evaluate our art, in order for doctors to be able to recommend Shiatsu for their patients. So that's an important point, I think. And I want to also give you another thing, is that a research can't be just on a pathology in general. It has to be on a very specific point. You can't evaluate the effectiveness of Shiatsu for, I don't know, cancer. Okay, it doesn't mean anything. You have to choose a specific point, a specific symptom. And you have to use also scientific evaluated tools to do that. You can't just make up your questions. You can't just make up your tools to measure the criteria you are supposed to evaluate. This is very important also, I think. And this study was also designed to collect a lot of data in order to build further research. And also during the evaluation of the protocol, some people in the hospital asked us to leave some questionnaire by part because we had too many criteria evaluating. So you can't do what you want when you build a research. You have a certain tracks. You have to follow certain rules.
Right.
And what about this research, VASPA? I had the opportunity to work, to participate, on a med school university program, which was, the subject of it was how to build a research, how to build a clinical trial, and after how to publish it. It was from the idea to the publication, and we have learned all the process. Of course, the starting point and the arrival point, there is a lot of work and a lot of changes during this process.
Yeah.
And first of all, I wanted to evaluate pain on spondyloarthritis because it's a very painful illness. Yes. And going on with the building this process, above all with the Dr. Lespessa in Orléans, who is in charge of this research. He told me, pain was already studied and taken care of. On the other hand, fatigue is a very important point, and Occidental medicine doesn't have any anything to help really their patients on this pathology. So he asked me, do you think that Shiatsu can help patients to feel well and more relaxed and less tired? Of course, Shiatsu can do everything.
Very cool.
Yeah, let's look at that. So this is often we hear that when we receive patients in our studio, in our cabinet. I have a lack of energy, I feel tired, and of course Shiatsu help them. So why not for spondyloarthritis? Okay, let's go for that. And another point is that a research project is a team. You can't do a research just by yourself. And I present today this study, but we have dozens of people. There are dozens of people behind me on this project, and I won't be able to do it by myself. So I want to thank them all, and all the 3 Shiatsu practitioners that are actually giving the Shiatsu in the hospital of Orléans, Dr. Lespessa, of course, and all his team. So keep in mind, a Shiatsu project is a teamwork. You can't do just yourself.
Yes.
Well, let's talk a bit more about this precise research. Dr. Lespessa asked me to do a crossover design. What is a crossover? You can see the table here. We have 2 groups, okay, and the 2 groups will receive effective Shiatsu and a placebo Shiatsu. And it has to deal with the power of the research, the power of the proof, because you have different level of proof for a clinical trial. And we want it to be the maximum possible. So we had to deal with what is a Shiatsu placebo. This is a huge subject. Maybe you can do another fishbowl on Shiatsu placebo, because we will have a lot to.
I was really interested to read that in the slides, because that just seems very difficult to do. How do you do
Yes, it was very, very difficult, because the first question is, what is Shiatsu? And that's not so easy to answer with all the different styles existing. And let's maybe another fishbowl on placebo Shiatsu. So we have decided to do this designing crossover. Why? Because when you present a research, you talk to the patient about the potential effective new treatment is about to test, but some will receive it and some will not. And we did not want that people will receive Shiatsu on the side, And so we decided to do this crossover design to say, okay, don't worry, you will receive Shiatsu, okay? Maybe you will start with 3 Shiatsu, then the washout, and have the placebo Shiatsu, or maybe you will start with the placebo Shiatsu, washout period, and then the real Shiatsu. Okay. So that was very important for us, because, of course, when you start talking about Shiatsu seems amazing, and you want to taste it. You want to try it. So that was a way to keep our chicken in the farm, let's say. Let's say it this way. And also another question was, for how long is Shiatsu effective? And it depends on so many criteria. So we have decided 4 months was a right amount of time to say that after 4 months, you won't have any more really the Shiatsu effectiveness. So it was like a secure time for us. So that's why we built it this way. And all the marks you'll see above are the questionnaire. Well, really, we have a bit more, but it will be very messy design. So I'll just put it this way to make you understand that we are asking a lot of questions to our patients that are doing right now our research project. I think it's good for this slide, and I don't have a lot of time anymore, so I go on. As I told you, what about after this research? collecting data. Okay, this is a very, very important thing for us, collecting data, because we will see if other criteria that we have evaluated are pertinent to build other research, because you can't just arrive like this and say, okay, I have an idea, let's study Shiatsu on this and this. You have to justify the research. And this collecting data will help us to give a justification for future studies. So that's a huge aim of this SPAS research. Please use it, because it's going to be published in English, so it's going to be internationally available. So please use it for your future project.
Right.
And of course, we're going to need other research to prove the effectiveness of Shiatsu for different symptoms, for different pathology, for different subjects anyway. And one thing I wanted to tell you tonight, that actual patients that have already done all the Shiatsu research, that it has started on September 2022 now.
Right.
And some that have finished are asking to go on with Shiatsu. So there are some of them are receiving Shiatsu now because they feel so much better, and they are grateful for the Hospital of Orléans to have make them meet Shiatsu.
Fantastic.
So
that's great.
I think I'm right on time.
Yes, absolutely, you are. Yep. Did you have any other slides you wanted to show, or?
No, thank you for your attention. And
well, thank you so much. That's really that. I totally understand the crossover thing. I think that's such a clever idea, really brilliant idea. So the next up, Natalie, thank you so much for your time, and it's just so interesting. I'm going to get Raviv up now. He's second up, and while we're waiting for him, I'll just launch your handout, and that means that people can download. If you're interested, we're going to put it online as well, but if you want a quick look at the slides straight away. Okay, thank you very much, Natalie. We'll see you at the end. That's great. Thank you very much. Hey, Raviv.
Hey.
Yeah, great. Let's get your slides up for you. Here we go. Thank you so much for your time.
You can hear me good?
Yeah, hear you perfectly. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to leave the stage now, and I'm going to focus totally on what you're doing, and I'll be back towards the end of the presentation. So take it away.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, and hi everybody, and I'm really happy to be here. And thank you, Cliff and Sandy, for inviting me. My name is Raviv. I'm from Israel. I live and practice Shiatsu for the last 26 years. And I want to share with you today on the tip of the spoon about how much I love Shiatsu and how much I love my work. And our time together is really limited, so I have to keep it short and focused. And the full version of the slides will be available in the handout section later. So just a minute. This is me. I forgot to press the forward button. Okay, so a short and quick introduction. Complementary medicine is very common and well spread in Israel. Up to 80% of the population experienced complementary medicine, mainly through public health organizations, and in most of the hospitals too, and mainly on an outpatient basis and for a fee or payment. For the last 12 years, I'm managing the integrative medicine program at the hemato-oncology division at Schneider Children's Hospital, the biggest and best hospital in Israel for children. I'll briefly present to you our complementary integrative medicine at Schneider Hospital with a focus on the topic we gathered today for the research in Shiatsu. Okay, as you can see, we are one of the oldest and most experienced integrative programs in Israel. And what is unique about our program is that Shiatsu is a kind of a standard of care in the department. The treatments are not an option, not a bonus, not alternative, and not a complementary to anything. And of course, it's free of charge. We will meet children of any age, from babies few weeks old to young adults in the 20s. We will treat any diagnosis and almost any medical condition, and we will do it mostly on the hospital beds. At the very same time, the chemotherapy is dripping from the infusion bag at the bedside, and from the first days of the child and his family in the department through a very long and demanding journey. As the way I see it, we are engineers of bridges and roads. We create bridges between the child and the medical team, between mind, spirit, and body, between the child and his way to overcome his long journey, and between many other barriers and gaps. When I come to work at the hospital, there was nothing. I was the only therapist in the whole hospital. Nobody knew complementary medicine, certainly not Shiatsu. There were no guidelines, no instructions, no contraindications, nothing. And after a very short time, maybe 2 weeks of work, I already experienced the reality we experience to this day. There is much bigger demand and request for our treatments than what I could give. Happily today, there are 5 more therapists and a research coordinator to give a better service to the department. The entrance to the field of research came because of the need and necessity to recruit more therapists like me. This was and still is one of the ways to appeal to the level of decision makers, the people who control the budgets and public health policy decisions. The scientific language is a necessity for us if we want to develop and spread Shiatsu to more regions. These days, we are conducting 4 studies, and 2 more are on the designing table and approval processes. First and main study is trying to prove what we subjectively know well, that Shiatsu have a significant and meaningful part in the whole journey children pass to treat a medical condition. I'll try to expand this study in a moment. Second study is a quite simple yet very important study for us about parents' attitudes toward the integration of complementary integrative medicine treatments in the oncology department. Because we have such a short time together, I won't get into it unless you ask me again in the Q&A part later. Third study is about babies and children up to 6 years old, trying to emphasize the role of Shiatsu as a communicative tool to overcome language as the main communication. And the fourth study is about our flagship program. We create an original intervention program to help and teach children to overcome challenges with taking medications and cooperate with the treatment they get. This program makes a significant impact on many hospital departments in Schneider and in other hospitals around Israel. I've already presented this program at international conferences, and we have quite many requests from various parts of the world to learn more about it. Sadly, I do not have the time to tell you more about it as well, maybe on another occasion. So let's talk about the challenges in the research field. The first challenge will be to explain, as Natalie said, what we are doing or what Shiatsu is. For myself, at the last 26 years, I have not found a good enough answer when people ask me what is Shiatsu. As a Masunaga practitioner of Zen Shiatsu, I try every day different answers. And for many years now, I prefer to suggest the patient to explain to me what Shiatsu is at the end of the treatment, and the answers always are better than I could explain. I raise this point here not as a side story, but because it is essential. A good study will always begin with a good design, and a good design will begin with an explanation of the method you will use. And as Natalie said, this is a subject for a whole new fishbowl. Next challenge will be to prove safety in use, to prove what we do is safe. It's a simple thing, especially in our field when shiatsu treatment can hardly cause any harm. But in fact, the studies evaluate safety in use are highly regarded studies in the scientific community and are the basis for any further research trying to prove effectiveness. 2 weeks ago, I've received a great article from Sandy, and I recommend that you all read it because it deals with exactly the first two challenges that I raised. I guess and hope Sandy will send it to you later. Third point, let's move on. Third point, how do we prove that shiatsu is the one that makes the effect? In research world, there is a whole field of biases. Is it me, my personality, my position, my attention, my passion, or is it the shiatsu that have the impact and effect on the children? For this reason, in our research, at least 2 different therapists will treat every child. Another significant differences in the effectiveness of the treatment will be between patients with prior familiarity with the world of complementary medicine and prior familiarity with the therapist. In our research, we recruit only children that we have not met before. Many more biases and challenges are possible, and our time is short, but let's just touch on one last general one, the network of meridians that flows through our body. When we work on a certain meridian or a specific point in the body, we affect the entire network. It is clear also that each person, even with the same symptom or illness, will react differently and requires a different approach. How will we prove the effectiveness of anti-nausea treatment on pericard 6 if we are certain that a different point or meridian will have an effect also? And this is a topic for a big discussion, discussion that it's not the time right now. Arms and groups. There is a huge difference between single arm and double arm study. A study that seeks to prove effectiveness will be designed with at least 2 arms. And the arms of the research hypothesis and control arm. In our department, the manager wanted to make sure that no child in the department be denied shiatsu treatment and put us in a problem. If everyone receives shiatsu, what will be the control arm or placebo treatment? We found a solution in the form of a waitlist arm. One arm will get the shiatsu from day 0, and second arm will get same shiatsu after waiting 10 weeks. It's not an ideal at all. In fact, since then we had to change the control arm again, but my time has almost finished, and I want to say a few words in conclusion. For the past 8 years, we have been collecting and cataloging research and articles in the field of complementary and integrative medicine and learning a lot from what is being done in other parts of the world, as well as from other treatment methods. In relation to other methods, I'm checking my time. Sorry. Okay, I'm finishing in half a minute. Our situation is not good. Shiatsu is one of the treatment methods in which the least research is done. Less than 1/10 of what is done in Chinese medicine, for example. The reasons are many and varied, and I will not get into them now. I hope that I have helped to arouse thoughts and attention among you on this important subject. I will be happy to answer more questions later in the meeting or through my email address. Thank you again, Cliff and Sandy, and to you all for your attention. Thank you.
Raviv, that was amazing. That's just incredible. The amount of work that you've done is just unbelievable. And thank you so much. And I can imagine just how tough it must be to have a control of kids that aren't going to get shiatsu. That must be a really hard one, you know. So I'm going to put your handout up, okay? And this is actually a longer version. It's really worth downloading this. We'll put it online, obviously, but if you want to download a longer version of Raviv's slides, you'll find them there on the side of the screen, and you can download. We will be putting all this stuff online, and we'll make sure that you've got lots of ways of contacting these amazing researchers after the webinar, because I'm quite sure it's going to create a lot of interest. So thank you very, very much for your time. And thank you most of all for managing to put so much into such a short time. So we could have spent an hour easily on your slides. It was really great. Okay, so now I'd like to invite onto the stage Lisa, who's our third and final, and here she is, our third and final presenter. Thank you so much, Lisa, for contributing to the webinar. It's great to see you.
Thanks, it's great to be here. I'll just put up my presentation.
Yeah, do you want to pop them on the screen?
Yes, I will do that now.
Okay, there you go. Or I can do it for you if you want.
I've got it there.
Oh, yeah, you've got it. Yeah, that's it.
Familiarity with the technology.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks again for having me here to speak. I'm delighted to talk about my research into therapist effects in Shiatsu for people with multiple sclerosis, which was a mixed method study. And I think, listening to the other two speakers, I think it goes some way to endeavor to begin the discussion on what is Shiatsu. And I'm looking at the other side of Shiatsu. The therapist effects are all about the effects of the individual practitioner. And in my study proper, I talked about the placebo effect and it as a criticism of what we do as complementary therapists, when in fact, I think it's quite a good thing. But let me explain a little bit about the background to my studying this. I feel it's an important thing to look at. And there was a study done by a team of American researchers back in the 1980s, published in 1991, Fritz Christopher and colleagues. They revisited studies in psychological interventions and found that when the study data was re-examined per therapist, so there was a cohort level of data, so for the entire population in the study, which showed these psychological interventions to be good and effective. But when the data was re-examined per therapist, it showed that there are one or two high-performing therapists who increased the effect average.
Right.
So if you just let that land and sink, okay, what does that mean for an intervention such as Shiatsu? Does this apply to an intervention such as Shiatsu? I think it does.
Yes.
Fritz Christoph and colleagues said that it would comprise factors such as the therapist being more experienced, maybe giving a greater number of sessions, adherent to a modality, or what we would call probably a style of Shiatsu, and warmth and empathy of a practitioner. If it's not attended to in these other arenas, because it hasn't been talked about yet in Shiatsu, if it's not attended to, it's considered to invalidate findings, which is a really serious concern when we're evaluating our Shiatsu studies.
Yes.
So it becomes difficult to infer to other practitioners if we don't build it into the study design. And it is so, therefore, it has implications for what we can say about a study's effectiveness.
Wow, yeah.
So it's quite important.
Very important.
Yeah. So I set out to answer the question, what of what's understood to be therapist effect in the psychological and other arenas is relevant for us as Shiatsu practitioners, and how can we, it's really a quantitative phenomenon, but we don't really know what it comprises in Shiatsu. So I constructed a prospective cohort mixed method study over 12 weeks, 6 weeks of once weekly Shiatsu to the participants and 6 weeks of follow-up. The participants were 5 Shiatsu practitioners recruited through the Shiatsu Society UK, and then subsequently 10 people with a confirmed diagnosis of multiple sclerosis who were assigned to their practitioners. So the assignation was based on their physical location, so they had to be near enough to the practitioner. So in the study itself, I video recorded the first, third, and sixth Shiatsu sessions to enable me to look at and explore the the building of rapport and that empathy and that warmth. I interviewed everybody, therapists and clients, about their expectations beforehand and the therapist's style of Shiatsu or their modality of practice. And I interviewed everybody afterwards to find out how they found working with one another. Throughout, patients were asked to complete a daily symptom diary and to complete a quality of life questionnaire adapted to people with multiple sclerosis before they started Shiatsu, at the end of treatment and at the end of follow-up. So there was a lot of data being collected quantitatively and qualitatively. And here is just a little sample of one still. So I constructed a library of stills of the video data, and in it you can see there's a practitioner in a white t-shirt and a client or patient in a green t-shirt. And this is actually a little video. It doesn't play on this platform, but just to say, you can hear the practitioner talking warmly to the client and reaching out and just giving her a reassuring tap on the foot, what I would term affective touch. And it shows her style of communication. So it was these kind of things I was looking at in the video data, and all really interesting. The variation of cross practitioners was quite, well, it was quite pronounced, and each had their own style, as you can well imagine. And I'm so grateful to them for agreeing to participate, which enabled this study and exploration.
Such an amazing insight into what goes on in the therapy rooms. It's such a rare thing to be able to see that.
Absolutely, that's it. But I started off with looking at, in detail, the quantitative data. And you can see from these two charts, they are of the MS-QoL, the Quality of Life Questionnaire. And the questions were grouped in the analysis, a physical health composite and a mental health composite score.
Right.
But what I want to show you to focus on is the shape of the graph. So the first bar chart in each of the charts is at baseline before people had received Shiatsu. And there's this lovely upwards curve which indicates an increase in quality of life by the end of treatment. And then this tapering off at the 6-week period. So you could say, looking at it, it's the way most studies analyze the data, and you can say, looking at it, it looks like Shiatsu improves quality of life for the participants in this study. Now, of course, it's a small study. It's not possible because of the numbers to extrapolate to the wider population. It's more in the spirit of a pilot study, sort of looking at, well, what might happen if we provided Shiatsu for 6 weeks to people. And if this were in a bigger study, it would look like Shiatsu improves quality of life for people with multiple sclerosis. And I can hear jangling around in people's head a whole lot of questions like, well, what were they like at baseline, and were they similar? And I just don't have the bandwidth to go into that. But there are weaknesses in the study because of that, because there are differences amongst the patients in the study. I hold my hands up to that.
Yeah.
But in terms of examining this phenomenon, that was the first level of analysis, and what studies mostly do. The second level of analysis is to look at those results, just as Christoph did, per therapist. And the thing you would want to look for is the same shape of this upside down, this bell-shaped curve, from beginning to end of treatment. And you can see it for physical health in therapists 2 and 3. In mental health, you can see it in therapists 3 and 5.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, can you see that?
Yeah.
And then if you look at therapist 4, really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Long-term results.
Exactly, and they carry on.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, you look at therapist 1, and it looks like, oh, they're not doing so well there. They're actually disimproving. And the same with the mental health scores. but we've got more to look at because we were looking at qualitative data, or similarly with Therapist 5.
Yeah.
So I'll just pop on to the next slide, which is a repeat of the one before. Looking at the data in more detail, I triangulated the video data, which was analysed amongst 3 of us to begin with. So this was all part of a study submitted in partial fulfilment of a doctoral thesis. So I had my 2 supervisors, a behavioural expert and a senior NHS physiotherapist, looking at the data. And we kind of jarred a bit with what was going on in the videos and used the interview data as mediation for areas where there was discrepancy. So we let the participants have the last say.
Right.
I can talk more about that in the questions.
Yeah.
So if I bring it all together with this method, which I term triangulated videography, one issue was that all the therapists were experienced. So that wasn't a delineating feature. But the 2 therapists, if you remember therapists 2 and 4, whose patients improved, and therapists 4 who improved more, showed greater warmth towards their clients. And the second thing was they were very, very adherent to their given modality. One was a Zen practitioner and another was a TCM practitioner. They were very, very pure in their style. So there was less sort of room for intuitive diagnosis, more following a kind of treatment protocol.
Yeah.
And just almost finally people spoke of then other effects which weren't captured in the quality of life questionnaire, effects which could be described as changes in ki. And I think, talking to an audience of Shiatsu practitioners, we know when patients have been touched and they become more centered, more aware, maybe they're slowing down, they become more of their core self, I would say. And I use the analogy in supplementary material. The heart of Shiatsu is a mother's love, as spoken by Namakoshi. And I looked at, when I brought the therapists together, to summarize them, each a different kind of mother, and that's in the supplementary material. But to finish, the take home is that this study, if it's indicative of a wider Shiatsu audience, would recommend that TE be considered in studies of Shiatsu. And I know I did hear some of that in, I think it was Raviv's presentation, and I was clapping here as I listened to him using 2 practitioners. I think is a wonderful thing. And qualitative feedback allows us to look at the holistic effects of Shiatsu. And from a perspective of ki, when we look at things from a health psychology perspective, we can look at how we see our humanity. We're beings of energy, of ki.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very, very interesting indeed. It's just amazing to see those graphs. Really just. And I'll just I'll just launch your handout so that people can download the full set of slides. And it's now time for the questions. So we're going to get, I think, the other 2 presenters up, and let's just see if we've got anyone who's like to come into the fishbowl that we've got. Maybe, yeah, hi, there's Sandy there.
No.
Let's get everyone back. Oh, here we go.
Hello.
Hello, where is Ravi? Yes, and Natalie.
So, yes, so Christina, do you have a question?
I just want
to
say,
I've got a question from the audience. Thank you for putting the questions on. I just have to find it again. So
I saw that you were actually already answering some of the questions in the background there on the chat as we were the presentation.
Yes, partly just what I know. Yes, there's a question from Jane to all of you presenters. What's your opinion about it? Does the attempt to fit Shiatsu into Western medical research parameters risk downplaying the value of unpredictable magic hands results. What do you think?
Did you get that, everyone?
It was a
I
complicated.
didn't get it.
All right. Basically, it's
I try to rephrase it. Is the attempt to fit a practice that is somehow having a magic hands effect for the patient, something that is going on between practitioner and patient. Is it somehow a risk being downplayed when being fit into Western medical research parameters? So if we want to fit the undescribable into the Western parameters in research, what do you think? Do you think it happens, or what is your opinion about it?
who wants to go first?
I'd love to say just a couple of words.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't have time to cover in my own study, I looked at the theory of key and how the individual practitioners were key sensitive and how that played into the modality that they used. And one thing I would say is that we need to be able to talk about that, find a way of talking about that, as well as measuring what's going on, so that those outside of the profession can have something to begin their decisions on the, well, it's a lot of it boils down to funding of Shiatsu treatments and funding maybe of Shiatsu research.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Anyone else want to put a comment?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
go on.
please.
Go
I want to say a few words. Okay, my agenda is very clear. I want to spread Shiatsu worldwide, and mainly on hospital beds. I believe Shiatsu is the most fitting treatment in the hospitals, and specific in oncology world, and I want to spread it. Many years ago, I sat with a manager of a different department in the hospital, and he said, "Listen, I believe Shiatsu is doing very good job, but if you helping a child to suffer less from pain, it doesn't mean that I won't give him the paracetamol when he have pain." So we have to look to affect not just the symptoms, as Natalie said maybe before. I see many times that I have a good effect on the monitor that's connected to the child. I see his blood pressure is going down. I see his pulse is going down, but it's almost meaningless, because when I come to show this research to the making decision person, he doesn't mind about it. He won't get a more Shiatsu therapist because I help child with his pain. He will get a more Shiatsu therapist if I have the effect on the whole journey of the child, on the department, on the staff that's working, on the parents that I teach them how to treat the child. So we have to be very open-minded on our effect with Shiatsu on children or on general. It's not just to look that we are specifically affecting something, but Shiatsu is about a journey, about way of life, is about a very wide and spread effect, and we have to look to see how we can prove these things.
So
and
there we are.
for
That's
this,
magic, isn't it?
and
That's
not just
magic.
to
In the widest
it's a magic, and we have ambition. We have a quality of researchers, and we have many kinds of researchers that we can use to prove this point.
We are.
That's it for now.
So Raviv doesn't have any problem with the magic and the research. Natalie, what's your take on this whole question?
Yes, I just wanted to say something that going in the same direction as Raviv. I totally agree with you that Shiatsu is our journey, and evaluate the effectiveness of just one symptom is not really close to the reality of Shiatsu. Unfortunately, this is what evidence-based medicine asks us to do. And this is the main difficulty, I think, to meet these two different worlds, Shiatsu and research. And we have to do compromises. And that's, I think, one of the main difficulties. Also because we practice Shiatsu with different styles, with our ways. As Lisa just put in evidence, also different results between different therapists. I think this is really, really interesting. I don't know if they had the same practice, a standardized practice during this study. This also can be an interesting point to add. But you see the importance of the person and the heart you give during the Shiatsu. And like you said, and Namikoshi said, it's like mother love. And this is one very, very difficult point to evaluate. We do not have, I think, any scientific tool to evaluate that today. Maybe we can work on to build a tool like that, and to have an evaluating questionnaire that can be closer to the reality of Shiatsu than all the questionnaires that are available today. Maybe that can be something.
But I think Lisa's research and the way she categorizes it really seemed to start that conversation, from what I could see anyway. Don't you think, Lisa?
Sorry, I would say yes. It's opening up the discussion on it. Certainly not to finish it. And I think qualitative evaluation can be included in clinical trials. There is a body of research in the mixed methods school which advocates ways of doing these sort of studies. It's another discussion to have.
Yeah. Sandy, did you want to say something?
Yes, I would like to highlight to all the audience outside what you see here now is starting this discussion about how we can do research, what are the pros and the cons about the study design, and all this discussion. This is about what the Shiatsu Research Network wants to be, this place where this discussion happens. So yes, to motivate all the people outside to come to our annual meeting, where we'll try to continue with that.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the invitation for you. We'll be sharing the links in a moment. Okay, thank you very much, Christina.
Okay, I'm leaving the stage to
okay. I think
Karin.
we've got another fishbowl person in the wings. Let's see. Here she is. Let's just see if we can get her onto the stage. See if Karen can come on and see. We have got a lot of questions from the chat as well. So we'll just see. Oh, hi.
Hi. Yeah.
So what do you think? Wasn't it interesting? Wasn't it interesting, Karen?
It was absolutely fascinating. And so thanks a lot to all of you and to your insights. And I suppose we could take some hours and hours to continue this, at least with all the things Raviv mentioned. It could take a couple of weeks. So as we are running out of time, and there's so many interesting questions, maybe I'd like to end with one quite short question. If you're looking back to all the research you have been done, what would you say is the one thing that impressed you most, or the one thing which you weren't expecting? Could be something which really causes some kind of trouble, or something which seems to be a problem beforehand and then just comes in easy. So maybe that's one question. And for the last one, if there are people outside who want to do their own research, what would you recommend them to start with?
Great. And who would like to start? Anyone want to answer that?
Can I just throw in a
Yeah,
suggestion?
sure, yeah.
I think for an individual on their own, any well-constructed case study, if anybody knows that methodology, and there's so much information out there, and on the Shiatsu Research Network, is a place to start, so that you're tracking and monitoring, but you must get consent from the person from whom you are writing a case study. But a well-constructed case study has a lot of merit to it and can be helpful in promoting maybe one aspect of the therapy, or its utility in one particular illness or another.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's like, so if you feel that you're having a particular success with something, it's kind of, it opens the doors, doesn't it? The next step is to find out whether it will, how regularly that will happen. But I think we've all had that experience where we thought, wow, that really was amazing. I wonder if we could be taken further. And that's the case history. Anyone else want to comment on the difficult challenge that turned into an exciting thing? Maybe Raviv wants to talk about that.
I'll give just a short recommendation. If you go to research, do not do it by yourself, and don't do it while you're working. You have to be fully committed to it, and you have to. I couldn't do it. I started alone. There is the first research of Shiatsu. I was so amazed that I have this effect on the journey the children's going, and I wanted to prove it, and it's impossible to do it while you're working. And the first advice I got from a big researcher in Israel is you have to be fully committed to it. And now that I have the 5 therapists under me and a research coordinator, I still have to take 2 days a week and to be fully to research. So it's a lot of work, and it's not a small thing. If you want to do it properly. Otherwise, the research won't get published anywhere important and won't have the impact and effect on the scientific family we are looking to impress. Not impress, but to communicate.
Okay, look, here's a question that's been flagged up. I don't know who flagged that up, but it wasn't me. But there's it was about the questionnaires. I think you'll find that they're actually available on the Shiatsu Research Network resources. I think you'll find that. I think that's right, isn't it, Sandy? That you've got sample questionnaires and research tools and that on the website.
I mean, we have some hints about that, but we have not the questionnaires.
Right.
Not the questionnaires itself.
No,
Yes.
so that would be part of the study design. Natalie.
Yeah, you can easily Google.
I wanted to add something to Raviv answer, because Raviv has the luck to already work into an hospital. And for most of us, we don't work in hospitals. So how can we have a connection with hospitals and the research field in general? Well, the answer is it's very difficult, because at least in France, you can't run a clinical trial if you are not a doctor. So according to SPASPA research, I am not the main investigator, because legally I can't be. So you can work on the project, on the protocol, on the methodology. It's you can't not do it, but you have to be in connection, in very close connection to a doctor, because he will lead the project for you and with you. Right. Even if you are doing Shiatsu, of course he won't do it, but a doctor has to be with you. So first, find a motivated doctor in medicine to work with you.
Right, there we go. So, that's it. We had Fanny Rock on part of ISCO France. I don't know if you tuned into that, Natalie, but she's done some amazing stuff in hospitals, and it was all exactly like that, finding people that she could collaborate with inside the hospital, and that seems to be the main lesson. Okay, great. We have to finish up now. It's been an absolutely amazing hour. Raviv, let's just get the final slides up. I think this is just the start, to be honest, Sandy. This is just it's just been so amazingly intense and so interesting. We're going to have to follow this up. We can maybe make it an annual check-in with the SRN. I'd love to do that. How about that? And we can maybe put some guest spots in as well, because we have some guest presenters. So if anyone from the SRN's got anything really exciting to share and they want a guest spot on New Energy Work, we'd love to share it. It's just been so amazing. And my own personal experience is it means so much more when you've got the actual researcher talking to you, because the passion comes over and it's so much easier to understand than just seeing it written down. That's been my experience. So thank you so much to all of you. It's been really, really amazing.
Thank you.
So Sandy, do you want to just finish up?
Oh, no, I mean, there is not a lot to say. The words touched me from all of you. And yes, I just can go with Cliff. It's so worth to hear you speaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really does. It really comes from the heart. It's been really amazing. And we've had lots of people raising. We've had lots of questions that we haven't been able to put to you. But what I'll do is I'll download all the questions and send them to you so you can see what kind of things people are interested in. And let's meet up again soon. And I just want to wish you, from the whole worldwide Shiatsu community, I just want to wish you all the key that we've got, behind you, because what you're doing is so important and so amazing. We really, really appreciate it. And in fact, if you look in the chat, I imagine you'll probably see some hearts coming into the chat. Yeah, if you look in the chat, you'll just see lots and lots of clapping and hearts there, and that just gives you just a taste of how grateful everyone is. Okay, so thank you very much, and see you on another New Energy Work webinar soon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.